Do you have items in your craft stash that are neglected and unused, but you can't bear to get rid of them? Welcome to Use It or Lose It, a weekly YouTube series where I'll dive into the products that you have lying around in your craft room and the products I have lying around in mine. After I've created something, I'll decide if I think I'll use it again or if it needs to give up that precious space in my stash, and I hope you'll play along. Finally, with another Use It or Lose It. Today we're talking about letter stickers. We all have those letter stickers where we've used a ton of the letters and then they kind of just sit in our stash. I have a whole bunch here that I've used up a lot of, but there's still words that can be made out of them. And I have lots of ideas for these, but I'm going to start with one idea, which is something that I know that a lot of people suggest, so I'm sure you guys have heard this before, but to try to make words out of the letters that you have left and put them on your little thicker sheet. So here you can see I've made the words bum, cry, ball, food, kid, job, cup, laugh, and wow. And then I've also created joy and fox, which I'll just cut the little tail off the Q for. So it's nice to have a little bit of like somewhere to start. It's nice to have these words made up, and this is actually a jumping off point for the title for my layout that I'm going to create today. And my layout is going to be, I don't know whether to laugh or cry. So I'm going to use these letters and put them on this layout. I wanted to show you a few other thickers that I have that I have created words out of, just to show you. Let's see if I can find them. Okay, so on these ones, I've created words and I've used the 3s as E's. So you can see it says bud. This will be yuck. I'll just cut the little part off the G. Like, yep, hip, wow. Tip, fit, kid, mom, XOXO is a good one to do, and hug. So these are ones that are a little bit, like some of them I had to alter a little bit. So think about the ways that you can use a 1 as an I, or the ways that you can alter the letters to fit what you need. So this one is falling apart a little bit, but I did create some words that I could use, like the word like. I don't remember what any, maybe prom. I don't know. I don't have prom pictures that I need to scrapbook. Bro, maybe. But I did put the word like and try down here. Here I've got sunny, dock. There was about, but I used the A, and there was dress. So here's an A down here, so I could still put this up and do the word about. Hours, and now I'll just cut off the Q. This was joyful, so if I put that, move this is a 1, but I could make it into an L and put it there. So just thinking about things like that. This one is brag. There's an XOXO up here at the top. Quit, way. See, the D can become an A. Draw, the Q can become an A. Out, part, hill. I don't know what this was supposed to be. Maybe it was fact. I was going to cut this 2 into a C and do the word fact. So there's lots of ways that you can play around with the letters to make up new words. And I've done that on some of them. Some of these I have not yet, but that's one thing that I would do. Now I'm going to show you another way that I'm going to use this letter sticker set that's almost gone as well. And just, I have a whole bunch. I just wanted to show you. These are a bunch of the ones that I'm thinking I need to use or get rid of soon. And so I wanted to just let you have a little glance at what I've got going on in my stash. Now these are super old, but I still have some words that I've created with them. So I've got back, love, find, grow. That would be a now. I'll just cut that one up. Just, mom, mug, and dish. So lots of words that I can still create using those. So with that in mind, I'm going to get started. This is, again, this is the photo I'm using, and I'm going to use those letter thickers that I showed you at the beginning to do my word, I don't know whether, or my title, I don't know whether to laugh or cry. So I'm going to start there, put you on fast forward. Be sure to stay to the end of the video for lots more ideas on ways to use up leftover letter stickers, and throughout the video I'll show you a few other ways as well. So I'm going to start by putting my title on some wax paper. Now these foam letter stickers are some of my very first thickers that I've ever gotten, and the stick is
pretty much completely gone. So I am putting them on the wax paper, but really they're not sticking to it very much at all. I'm going to make my title, well, at first I thought it was going to be, I don't know whether to laugh or cry, but I'll end up changing it to should I laugh or cry ? And I'm using these white alphabet stickers from Freckled Fawn. They're actually a font that I designed for them. And I'm just showing you there that you could use the H as a Y and vice versa. So think about that as you're looking through your letters as well. What can you make out of other letters if you needed to? Often you can make an A out of a D or a Q or something like that. So just keep that in mind when you're trying to find the letters that you use most often. I find that A's are one of those for me. So I'm just trying to figure out my title here. I didn't have a capital I, and so I just cut one. I cut a K down. So there's another little tip there. And I'm placing these and I'm trying to nestle them in so that it looks good and right. And I kind of decide, you'll see as I go along, based on the patterns that I decide to put on my background to change my title. And I'll tell you why when I get to that point. So here I decide that I'm going to use this alphabet sticker sheet that's almost gone from Ellie Studio, and I'm going to use it as kind of like a template or a mask or a stencil. And so I'm just using my little poker tool to make sure that the letters that are still intact for the letter sticker sheet stay on the sheet, because I just want to pull up the outside piece of that. And this is something that I've done before in the past with, I've also done it with regular sticker sheets, not just letter stickers, but I really, really love the way that this one in particular turns out. And with a bunch of all these letters like this, it just looks really cute. So I definitely encourage you to try this if you have not, to make one of these alphabet stickers into a little stencil for yourself. Now, it was a little bit of a pain because I had to take the sticky back off of that sticker paper so that it doesn't stick too hard to my background paper, because I don't want it to rip it. So what I'm doing now is I'm sticking it all over my pants. That's what you can't see. I'm sticking it on my pants and on my shirt and I'm on my arm. Like, I'm just trying to get the sticky off. Then I pulled out my powder tool, which is from EK Success, and that just puts a little bit of baby powder onto the sticker. And so I'm using that, but it's going to take me forever. And so I just like kind of roll my arms on it, trying to get the sticky off any way that I can. And finally I get it to where it's not sticky enough, or I mean, not too sticky. It's still sticky enough. And I'm trying to decide what color I want to spray in the background. So I'm thinking white, because I want it to be kind of subtle. And you'll see I start with white, and I'm using a Distress ink from, or is it a Dilution spray? I can't remember. I think it's Dilution's white. And I spray that a few times, and then I start to peel up my mask, and I can't really see it. So I decide to use this old color called Manila from Studio Calico. And it kind of matched the splatters that were already on the background paper anyway. And so I knew as I was flipping through my colors that I wanted to use that. So I have some other pattern papers out that I'm thinking about using. That striped yellow one is from Felicity Jane, and I think it's from the Brook kit. And I'm matting my photo with white cardstock. I'm really liking that We Are Memory Keepers guillotine trimmer. It will fit an 8.5 by 11 inch piece of paper, so I'm liking the little bit of a bigger size. This paper is from Crate Paper, and I'm going to use that underneath my photo. I went to my scraps to find some kind of like a blue color, and I really like this pattern paper. This is from Close to My Heart, and I'm going to base my title on it. I cut it in half because I wanted it to be longer than it was, and so I'm just going to hide it underneath my photo. And I talk about different ways that you can stretch your patterns like that a lot in my Zap Your Scraps class, which you can find at classes.craftyjenschow.com. And I also talked about it in a previous Use It or Lose It video, I think. So, but here I'm putting down that kind of cool looking triangle sketchy paper, and I am using the letter stickers for dimensional adhesive. And that's a great way if you have a bunch of letters that you know you're not going to use. As I mentioned, these have completely lost their stick. So I'm going to stick them down, but I have to put a little bit of glue underneath them because they aren't sticky anymore. So I'm just using some Scotch quick dry adhesive, and foam letter stickers are particularly wonderful for this. So if you're thinking of throwing out a set of stickers because you've used up what you think you can, don't forget about trying to use it as dimensional adhesive because it worked really, really great for that. So here I'm just kind of trying to figure out exactly where I want everything to go. I am placing that aqua colored paper in the bottom left corner. So there's a little bit more space of that triangle pattern showing at the top than there is on the bottom and side. And I've kind of squared that up there. And now I'm going to play around with my title and see how this is all going to fit on here. And I decide to add that question mark. This is where I decided because I wanted my entire title to fit onto that blue, to that aqua blue piece of paper. And I think that the white will stand out better against those white letter stickers. And so I've decided to shorten my title so that it can all fit. So I am gluing down these letter stickers now, again, because they have completely lost their stick. Now, foam thickers are known for being more sticky than the rest of the stickers. And so I was surprised at this, but I think that if they would have already been on a page, they would have stuck just fine. Just the fact that they were on that sticker release paper, they're not sticky anymore. So I don't know. Anyway, I'm gluing them down and that's just fine. And now I am changing my title to Should I Laugh or Cry? And just arranging those letters so that they fit completely onto that blue colored pattern paper, and kind of nestling things in the way I always do. You know how I love that word nestle. I love to make things fit together like a puzzle kind of. It just makes everything feel like it belongs and like it's supposed to go together, not like I just put a bunch of random things together. So I'm going to go ahead and glue down my photo, and I'm leaving a little bit of a border on the bottom of it, of that triangle paper, and then having it poke out the top a little. So this is an L-shaped design because you can see my misting from the background takes your eye up, and so does the photo. Now, I thought about using these little houses. This is a really cute pattern paper from Simple Stories, and I thought it was cute because, I don't know, holding the chickens in the backyard, it just was a homey kind of thing. And but I decide I'll end up not going with these houses, even though I think they're cute. I'll probably use them for another layout sometime, but I decided against it for now. And now what I'm doing is I'm going through my thickers and trying to see if there's other little bits and pieces that I can use for embellishment. So I pulled out those asterisks from a teal chipboard set, and I'm also going to use the asterisks from this set that I used for my title, and those are going to be some of my embellishments. So don't forget about that as a way to use up your thickers as well. I'm cutting this pattern paper from the Chamel Box of Crayons line, and it's a floral, and so I'm just going to fussy cut it, and I really like the red flowers on it, and the pop of, like, there's a navy in there as well, and I like that too, so I'm going to use that. I fussy cut a bunch of those out. Well, I will fussy cut a bunch of those. I cut one to start with, and now I'm going to cut some more and put them in 3 areas on the layout. So one will go where I have it there next to the left-hand side of the photo. I'll put one down at the bottom left-hand side of the title, and then one underneath the photo, and you'll see that here in just a second. I wanted to make sure each cluster had a red flower, a bit of that green leaf, and then a bit of the navy going on in it. So I will just cut little pieces out here and there to make sure that happens in each cluster. And I'm going to put the little asterisks that I'm using as little star embellishments in those clusters as well. And those are kind of a replacement for enamel dots or something like that. You can use those little pieces from your chipboard set as well. And you could also use periods or different things like that from some of the thicker sheets. Oh my goodness, I can't talk. Some of those sticker sets have shapes on them too, like hearts and stuff, which is really awesome. I know that Hip Kit Club does a lot of those kinds of shapes that they throw in extra in little spaces on their sticker sheets, so that's cool. So definitely think about that. So here I'm just making sure that each cluster is going to have those elements that I mentioned. I want some of the green, some of the blue, and then some of the red. And this is a color scheme that feels very, right now it was feeling very patriotic to me, the red, white, and blue kind of it all. And so I know I want to add yellow. So I was thinking about using that striped pattern paper. My background paper, which is super old from crepe paper, it curled up a little bit. And so I know I want to kind of map that on something, whether I put it on a plain piece of cardstock and put the whole thing on it, or if I cut it down a little bit and put it on another paper. I just know that I want to mat it. So I'm again using that foam, those leftover foam letters as dimensional adhesive beneath my flower. And I'll do that on a few different places. Here I'm deciding that I need some of that navy in that bottom left hand corner. So I just cut out a leaf. I'm going to cut out 2 leaves. And so that just makes it really simple. It's not too difficult to do, and each one has a little bit of that. Now the top one and the left one have white, and the bottom right hand one doesn't, but that's okay with me. And I really like the way that triangle of embellishment draws your eye through the title and the photo. And so now what I'm doing, I have a little wood veneer chicken. I dipped it in some Tim Holtz Distress Oxide ink. I'm actually going to change my ink color here in a little bit. But I pulled out my Maggie Holmes sticker book, which is from American Crafts. These sticker books are so fun. I love them. And I'm going to use some yellow from here. And this does not match the yellow that I just colored my chicken in with. And so that's why I end up changing the ink of the chicken color, because I used some of the yellow stickers from this sticker sheet instead. And so I want to make it match. So I kind of like the way that the chicken nestles between the H and the L in the word should, but I will end up moving that because I needed some yellow over in that bottom left hand cluster, and so I am going to make my chicken that yellow, and I just used some yellow, I think it's Coltfoot Stemens from Prima, and I used that to color the chicken, and it matches perfectly now. So now that's my little pop of yellow in that bottom cluster, and it kind of rests right on top of that flower, which I like. So now I'm pulling out some word stickers. I love tiny word stickers. Now I have some Tim Holtz ones that are newer that are kind of snarky, and I could not find them. They have like kind of tongue-in-cheek little sentiments, and I wanted to do that because I don't really like CJ's chickens. That's my friend. She has 5 chickens, and she's always like trying to get me to hold them, or they're like her little baby. She loves them, and I never want to, and I'm not really an animal person, and chickens aren't cuddly, and so I wanted to put something kind of sarcastic on there. And so some of the words that I choose from this Vicky Booten sticker set are a bit sarcastic, and so that ends up working for me. But just wanted to document the fact that I held the chicken even though I really didn't want to. So I'm just cutting those stickers down because I want them to be a little bit thinner than they are. I want a little less white space around the words. And here's where I decide that I do want to cut my paper down and put it on that yellow pattern paper. And it's going to match the yellow that I put in each cluster earlier. And I really like the way this looks. So I can't decide if I want it to just be on one side, like a little border, or if I want it to be on 2 sides. And so I am putting some double-sided adhesive tape on the back. This will make it hold down to the background very nicely so that it flattens it out because it's a little bit bowed from that spray mist that I used. And what I decide to do is go ahead and center this on that striped pattern paper. Now, if your paper wasn't warped like mine is, you could easily just use 2 strips of the yellow pattern paper and put it on the sides, but I needed the extra stability, so that's why I used this whole piece of pattern paper in the background. Plus I have 100 million papers, so it works out fine. So after I add that, I'm going to add some journaling, and I end up deciding to put it above my photo. And then I am going to do some little doodles, which I've been super into lately, and I'm just drawing some little asterisks and circles and scribbles in each cluster, and that's pretty much going to complete it. I will add a date stamp as well above I think I stamp it above my journaling, and I'm just trying to see what color I want, and I end up using a blue, and I'll come back and talk to you about this for a second.
Okay, so now that I've shown you just a couple of different ways that you can use your letter stickers on this particular page, I'll just remind you I used one as a mask for some spray mist, which I really love the way that turned out. I used them to pop up my photo. If you have extra letters, like why let them go to waste, use them as dimensional adhesive, especially the thickers. You can also use the little bits and pieces that are like the little, the periods or the asterisks to use as embellishments. And then you can mix and match different fonts for a title. The other thing I wanted to mention is, speaking of mixing fonts, here you can see I have mixed a whole bunch of fonts, but they're all the same color. They're all white. And so you can mix and match different thickers or letter stickers with different color, or with if you use the same color. So I'll show you what this looks like on like a solid colored background. And you can see how that would look nice on a solid background. But if you wanted to, you could color them to match your layout. So because these are all white, I can just use my Copic markers, which is just an alcohol-based marker, and I can color these in, and I'm not being super careful on this. But then they look like they're supposed to go together, even though they're all very different. You can make them look like they kind of go together that way. I think it's a fun look, and I like that there's different fonts, but they're all, the thing that brings them together is the color. So again, you could leave them all white, or you can color them all so they match. And even if the letter stickers aren't exactly the same color, if you color them, sometimes you can get them to look more like they belong together. So that's just an idea for you as well, is to just try mixing different fonts in the same color.
Here's another example where I used multiple thickers, but I went from dark to light, so it gives kind of an ombre effect. So you can see the P is darker, and then it goes a little bit lighter till you get to white on the E, and that's a fun look as well. And you could do this across multiple words or just one like I've done here. Here's another layout where I did some mixed media. So I put a bunch of numbers on the background. I put some white gesso over the top so they all matched, and then I just sprayed some spray mist in the background and let it drip down the page. So you can see that's a fun way to use up letters too, and it doesn't matter what they are because you're just bringing them all together with the gesso and spray mist.
So I have a couple of ideas using pages that I've created recently that you can see process videos on my YouTube channel for. This is one that I created for Pink Paisley, and I just used a bunch of different thickers. Some of them had words already, but some of them were just letters, and I created a mixed font title, and it works really well if you have a photo that doesn't have kind of a specific color scheme. And so this photo worked great because it was just kind of bluish and there wasn't any other colors really popping out, so I was able to mix a whole bunch of different colors together to create this crazy title slash journaling. So that's a fun way to use it as well. Another thing you could try is using the letters. If you have, there's a lot of alphabets that come with only one of each letter, and that's sometimes hard, but you can use them as a monogram. So here I've used the P for Pride and Prejudice. And this is a layout that I created using an Allie Edwards story kit, so that's an idea for you as well. Use the letter as a monogram. You could even group a whole bunch of one single letter as a monogram. So like if I was doing a layout about my daughter, I could, you can see that the background of this is all, this is cut out of my silhouette, the letters are, but I could create something on the background with a bunch of M stickers and do a layout about my daughter Malia. And that's a great way to do it too, is use the letters as a monogram. The other thing that this was in my last time, the last time I did my Use It or Lose It series, here I used a bunch of letter stickers kind of in a pattern. So I didn't think, I used these alphabet stickers on a few layouts, but then I thought I wasn't going to use the rest of them. So since they were so small, I put them all in the background. These are flat letter stickers, so this is great to do with flat letter stickers. And you can group them by color, and that is a really fun way to do it too. You could do this in rainbow order. You could do this in all kinds of different shapes. The other thing I wanted to show you, and let me just grab a set of thickers here. Let's do these ones. I wanted to show you that you can easily create a shape out of the stickers. So I'm going to just do it on this background here. And you can use something as a template, or you can just eyeball it. Maybe you can draw with a pencil. I don't know that I want to use this background just because I might want to use it later and I don't know if I want to do this on it. But so let me just grab a solid piece of cardstock to show you on actually. I'll do it on here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosely draw a big heart. And then what I can do is just use my letters to fill in the space. And then I'm just going to make it so that it creates the shape. And you can just randomly use up all of those letters that you don't know what to do with. This works especially well for those thicker sets maybe that have a lot of numbers. I don't use the numbers very often. So if you're like me and you don't use the numbers like I don't use the numbers, this is a great one to use up the numbers on, or you could even just do a whole background of numbers, and I think that would look really cool too. So what I'll do is just keep fitting these in until I create a heart. Okay, so you can see I kind of like made the outline of the shape, and it's a little bit wonky, but I kind of don't care. I think it'll be kind of fun that way. And now I can just fill in using the rest of these. So these stickers have been in my stash for I don't know how long, years and years. And so like I kind of don't care if I can still spell words out of these. I just want to get them used up. So I think this is a great way when you just have something that's been sitting in your stash forever, and it's okay if you don't use it for its intended purpose, because you're going to use it and you're going to create something fun that you love. And even if you use the whole thing up on one layout, I think it's fine. Like if it's just sitting there, then it's getting wasted away anyway. So I think that this is a really great way to do that. So I'll just finish sticking all of these letters on. Okay, so here I've finished the heart, and how cute will this be just as a fun little starting off to my background? It's a very focal point. Another idea that you could do is create a whole background like this, but then do one word in a color that you can read, and that could be your title. I really like that idea actually. So I could have done the word love or something in red right here and have it go straight across, and I would probably fill in that word first and then fill in everything around it if I wanted to do something like that. So I really love this idea. I think I'm going to keep this on this background and definitely use it for a page. So I'll share it in the Facebook group once I have used it for something. I can't wait to see what you guys do with your leftover letter stickers. And thanks so much for watching.
So, will you take up the challenge? Join us on Facebook in the Crafty Use It or Lose It group and tag your photos on social media, #CraftyUseItOrLoseIt. Can't wait to see what you create. So, what do you have to use or lose? Leave a comment and you may see it in an upcoming episode. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future Use It or Lose It videos. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you again next week.